Tonight, a critical test in the race for the White House.
Thank you very much.
5 Republicans battling to become their party's 2024 presidential nominee.
When we look at modern man, we have to face the fact that modern man suffers from a kind of poverty of the spirit, which stands in glaring contrast to its scientific and technological abundance. We've learned to fly the air like birds. We've learned to swim the seas like fish. And yet we haven't learned to walk the earth as brothers and sisters.
Folks, we're in trouble. The whole system stinks. The whole idea of greed and profit and the exploitation of other people, it stinks.
Money operates on one value system. It defines value by price.
You see, no one notices what the true function of the system is. It is masked by propaganda and myth.
So far as poverty is concerned, there has never in history been a more effective machine for eliminating poverty than the free enterprise system in the free market.
Good evening. I'm Kristen Welker, moderator of NBC's...
Do we have a healthcare system? No, we don't. We have a sickness and disability care system.
Is curing patients of cancer and disease a sustainable business model? Asks analysts at investment bank Goldman Sachs in an April 10th report.
See, the dominant functions of a system are often not what they seem. People think the market is there to feed and clothe them. No, the primary function of this economy is to exploit scarcity and increase consumption.
Hidden camera footage shows how Amazon, the largest retailer in the world, systematically destroys billions of dollars worth of goods every year.
And it's funny, people talk about green capitalism as if it could ever be a thing.
How to say no. That's the subject under discussion.
And I suddenly realized, looking at that means that every fundamental capacity that has enabled our species to survive, we've defined by our economic system as worthless. Our ability to care for each other, to come to each other's rescue, to stand up for what's right, to oppose what's wrong.
Actively, or is it something I just think is part of capitalism to promote racism?
All of those fundamental capacities that we as a species need in order to survive, we've defined by our economic system as worthless. Now, is there another way? Of course there is. The question is, can we overcome the force of this system before it kills us? Because that is exactly what it's going to do in the end.
Should you, and not him, be the Republican nominee to face Joe Biden a year from now?
Good afternoon.
This country is in trouble, and the elites that have put us here, they don't care about you. They don't care that you're having to grapple with higher grocery prices or higher gas prices.
The audio was from the trailer for the next Zeitgeist documentary
because of the open border that's allowed drugs and even terrorists to come into this country. Well, I care. I am not going to sit idly by and let this country
I've given the title Requiem to emphasize, of course, this trajectory
I'll take the hits. I'll take the
you all understand by now and feel.
It's not about me.
You don't have to be a doomsday cynic to see what's in store if you can follow trends. Anyone positive about the future, accounting for any of the major trends, are aligned to themselves quite simply, or fundamentally misunderstanding the creation. And I know people like to be positive and think positive and they like to hear that kind of stuff because, again, it's interpreted as cynical. But really, it's objective. What the trends show. All life support systems continue to be in decline with no symptom of alleviation. And obviously we can change those trends. It's not like just talking about things getting worse. The longer things go on as they are, the worse things become, and in many respects, the harder to change. Mainly because of the elements of fear that will arise. In other words, more stress, more irrationality, more groupism. Some, of course, argue such stress will lead to further change or an interesting change, but usually that happens too late. Rather, people are going to congeal tribal. This new work will focus on the endogenous system dynamics of the society around us and the systems it's ingrained in, the core economic system fundamentally, and
Well, I think you
offer
look at the fact
active
that we're almost
solutions,
$34
participatory
trillion
solutions, not
in debt.
just theory.
60% of
Using once
Americans
again the
are
lens of
living
system
paycheck to
science
paycheck.
applied to
50%
economics
of
and, of
American
course,
families
sustainability.
can't afford
And
diapers.
sustainability
One
is
in
the ultimate
6
word.
American families
Sustainability is
can't
not
pay
just
their
about the
utility bills.
ecosystem and the
You have
environment.
parents
It's also
who are
about
worried
human
about what's
relations.
being said
Can we
or
not
taught to
have
their child
war,
in the
for
classroom?
example,
There's no
which endangers
transparency.
everyone
We
because
have
of nuclear weapons?
anti-Semitism all over our
So the goal
college
beyond
campuses,
educational
and
analysis, which
students
is
feel
inherent to
unsafe.
documentary work, is
You've
to
got
ultimately
an
work
open
towards a
border where
kind of
terrorists
parallel
can come
economy
through,
program
and we've
that
got
people can
wars
institute in
happening
their
all over
communities.
us,
A
and
program
there are
designed that
dangers
has the
around
ability
us.
to
You know,
expand
everybody wants
into
to
a
talk
new,
about President
viable,
Trump. Well, I can talk
economic,
about
and
President
social
Trump. I can tell you
system,
that I
which
think
of
he
course
was
has
the
been
right
touched
president
upon
at the
throughout
right
this
time.
podcast
I
series.
don't think he's the
But
right
it's time to move
president
from
now.
hypothesis
I think that he
to
put us
action.
$8 trillion
Now, I apologize
in
if I
debt,
repeat
and our
myself
kids are
a
never
little
going to
bit here
forgive
for
us
those
for
that
that.
listen for
I
a
think the
while.
fact that he used to be
As this is
right
still
on
kind of the
Ukraine
first phase
and
of the
foreign
entire
issues, now he's
podcast,
getting weak in the knees and
believe it or
trying to be
not,
friendly again.
which is
I think that we've
lecture-based
got to
and
go
just
back to the fact that we
data-oriented,
can't
train
live
of
in the past. We
thought-oriented,
can't
as
live
opposed to opening the
in
door to
other
general
headlines. We've got
conversations
to
like
start
traditional
focusing on what's
podcasts,
going to make
which
America
will
strong
diffuse
and
focus a
powerful.
bit.
And that's
Not
what I'm
because
focused
people
on doing.
out there aren't
Let's make sure
doing
we
lots of
pay
positive
our
things
debt. I
in
think
general,
we need an accountant in the
have
White
good ethics
House.
and values,
Let's make sure
and
that we have
they
transparency
contribute,
in the classroom.
but
As a
because the
mom, I
focus
know
here
what
is
that means.
very specific.
Let's make
It's
sure we
about
secure our
understanding
borders
the
so that our
system
families
flaws
are
and how to
safe.
get out of it.
Let's get crime
Revolution
down because
now.
our families
And
want to
people
know
that
that
actually
they can
think
be
that
safe
way
no matter
appear
where
to be
they go.
extremely rare.
And as the wife of
This
a combat
podcast and
veteran,
community
I will
focuses
tell
on
you,
structuralism,
the military
once
needs to know we
again,
have
how our
their back,
societal
and we
system
need
of
to make sure that
organization affects
Americans
our lives mechanistically, endogenously, both culturally and procedurally, leading predominantly to predictable outcomes that are far more negative than positive. So it's about system change, not system administration. Pretty much everyone you hear out there in the so-called progressive media inevitably talk about ideal policy or institutions, or simply ways of behaving.
I think there's something deeper
moral
going on in the
respect.
Republican Party.
And through those
And I am
behavioral
upset about
changes
what
and
happened
regulation,
last night.
somehow things will get better. But it's a misconception. The system is stronger than the regulatory apparatus.
Let's speak the truth. I mean, since
And,
Ron McDaniel took
dangerous
over
and as
as
conflicting as it
chairwoman
is
of
for
the
me to
RNC
say,
in 2017,
the system is stronger than you are because it's about your survival.
2022,
One of the
no
most
red wave that
annoying
never
things
came
I've heard
without
people
Travis
repeatedly say in conversation about system change, they say, well, we, the people, are the system, we just change our behavior, we can do it. And they say that as if there's no huge, massive gravitation, sociological force keeping people locked into behaviors, values, and procedures that again support the system they want to change. And they're not informed enough to know what those even are. There are so many reinforcing and stabilizing loops that keep the system in play, and they are so subconscious, they are so multi-tiered and complex. And therefore, it's not just changing your behavior in some kind of moral adaptation that will gradually change the system for the better. You have to get rid of the system, it's knock it down, it has to be destroyed. In other words, while our behaviors and loyalties and actions and incentives may define the system, all of those things have actually come from the system. We are a product of our environment. We have had multiple generations of constant operant conditioning on, again, so many levels, consciously and subconsciously, that we are truly powerless to overcome the system with a kind of internal revolution. The thing has to be overthrown for us to break out and realize who we actually are, so to speak. And that is a really hard pill for people to swallow. We are taught to believe in a kind of incremental politics toward change, with the naive assumption that we can just gradually move towards a given sustainable end. But that's not how it works.
We have our greatest ally in the Middle East.
So I bring that up because the pool of people, disappointingly, that we can speak with about true system change is shockingly small. In fact, even the historical radicals that promote socialism or communism or whatever, these folks are still out there, and they'll make a lot of good points because there is a system analysis there that wants to go back to Marx. But the specificity is lost. It stops there with these vague definitions of what socialism even means, or what it even means to have the public responsible for the means of production, etc. As I wrote in a Substack article a while back, socialism is an empty term. It doesn't exist. It's pointless to bring it up. It's a terrible binary concept. that people
Who's
have
gonna
used
make
as a
this country
fallback
look once
for an
again
attempt at a
like it's
solution
been.
with self-proclaimed
But look
righteous
outward at the
socialists,
world
and attempt at
and say
blaming
America
anything that goes
is
wrong
the
in the world
country, the
on socialism and
indispensable
communism and a command
that
economy
makes
and everything
this a
else,
safer
which is one of
world.
the strongest
And in
forms
a
of
safer
propaganda.
world,
Anyone
American
that
innovation,
emphasizes their
American hard
relationship
work
to socialism
has always
today,
been the thing
even if they have
that
the
has driven our
absolute
country
best
to greater things.
intentions,
I'm gonna
are
be
ultimately
president
walking
who will do those
instruments of
big things.
propaganda.
We're not going to be
It's
small,
against
and I'll
it.
say this about
In the
Donald
same way, you
Trump.
don't need to call yourself an
Anybody who's
atheist
going to be
if you don't
spending the next
subscribe
year
to
and a half
some
of their
kind
life
of traditional
focusing on
theistic
keeping
belief
themselves out of jail
with
and
religion.
courtrooms
You
cannot
don't need to
lead
call
this
yourself a
party or this
socialist
country
because you
in an easy
disagree
way.
with the horrible system of capitalism. So I know I yell at the wind with all that stuff, because no one seems to care. They think I'm just being semantic.
Well, certainly, what I would say without any
Maybe
question
I
is that
bring on a bunch of socialists on the
life
podcast so I can try to
destroys
talk
the
them out of why
lives
they
of the
use this
radical
identity
left.
label as
We
opposed
need
to
a
just moving
president
forward
and a
and
candidate
scientifically
who
internal
actually
systems. That's
help
what
our
this is about.
base solidify and attract.
Similarly, some may remember I had a
into
conversation
our
with presidential
party. The
candidate
great
and author
opportunity
Marianne
party
Williamson
is now winning
on her
back
podcast
African
Going
American
Back.
voters and
And our
Hispanic
talk,
voters
which was
because we are
productive for
working
listeners, I
on a
think,
foundation
centered
based
around
on
this
faith.
debate
Our
of
nation
political
is facing
incrementalism
some
once
deep
again,
challenges.
with my argument
It is the
being that
loss
the
of
collective
faith in
gravitation
this
of the
nation
system, because of
that
its
is part of
incentives,
the erosion that we're
procedures,
seeing every
and
single day.
structure once
It's
again,
restoring faith,
always fights back.
restoring our Christian
It fights back
values
on the
that will help
sociological
this
level,
nation
if you will.
once
I know
again
that's difficult to
become
process.
the
It's a
city
hard
on the
time to
hill.
process.
When Ronald Reagan
convoluted
talked
to
about
think
the
that.
city on the hill, he was coming
Meaning
from Matthew
the
5.
issue
When
of
President
to what
Lincoln
degree
talked
humans can
about
express
a house
their
divided,
will
House
against
Law,
a
our
social
founding
structure that
documents
demands
speak to
certain
the
kinds of
importance of
behaviors and
faith
practices
foundation. You don't
in order
have
for
to be a
people to
Christian
basically
for America
survive.
to work for you.
Remember
But
that statement by, I
does
think it was
not
Demella
work
Meadows,
without a
that we
faith-filled
have a whole
Judeo-Christian
society
foundation.
which
I
is
would be the
producing
president that helps us
outcomes
restore
that no one
faith in
actually
God,
intends.
faith in each other.
We're certainly not
faith in our
interested
future.
in seeing
Without
ourselves
that
expire
focus,
as a species.
none of the issues,
We don't enjoy,
policies,
usually, at least most people, hurting others,
we have to
even
get
though
back
we
to being a
rationalize
nation
exploiting
that
other
is
people's
the
suffering
city
and taking
on the
advantage
hill
of people
that
because that
believes
is
in
part
each
of
other
the capitalist
enough
market
for us to
ethic
fight
of
for that
competition,
future.
which also feeds into social status and derived from the system as well. Because if you're doing well and someone else is doing poorly, you have a reference
and the
there to make
Republican
yourself
Jewish
feel better
coalition
about
men from
yourself.
Kristen and Hugh.
As dark as that is,
So as
the
we
entire
continue
status
forward,
orientation of our
the
society is
Israel-Hamas
based on
war
power
is
and
barely
wealth
a
and
month
basically
old.
you striving
Tonight,
over
Israeli
the
troops are fighting
it's
inside
class
Gaza City.
psychology, if you will, consequence of stratification, drawing your status from where you are on the ladder. And
As
be that as
President
it
of the
may,
United
and
States, what
neuroses
would you be
aside,
urging
it's still
Israeli
very
Prime Minister
subconscious,
Benjamin
and most
Netanyahu
people out
to
there
do at this
do
moment?
not intend to destroy the species or hurt others.
I would be telling